All right, everybody. This is the video where we educate all the buyers and sellers out there that are looking to buy and sell their homes on what's going on in the real estate market, what the numbers are telling us, so they're not getting duped and they know when they got a deal in front of them, they know when they're getting top dollar, and they know they're not overpaying. So that's what we're going to cover. This market report. This is July 2025. We're going to be covering back June's numbers. That's kind of how it goes. We go back a month. We don't have July's numbers yet, but my name is Chris McMahon. I am a local real estate agent right here, Saratoga Springs, in the entire capital region. And we're going to go right into our MLS. We're going to pull those numbers out. We're going to talk about them a little bit. We're going to cover different areas, everything like that. Any questions you have along the way, best way to get a hold of me is my cell phone, actually. You call or text that number. That's the fastest way you're going to get me, and you're going to get a response. My email is down there as well. You can get in touch with me through my email. But your fastest way is to go through and text or call me, and we'll get those questions answered for you. Now, I cover a general area over here. What we go through, I pick a couple spots to try and represent everything. If there is a spot that you are hyper-focused on, that you're really looking at, that I don't cover, I can get those numbers for you. You just need to reach out to me. Again, my contacts below. Just reach out and let me know what you're looking at, and I can get you that information out there. So with that being said, let's get right into it here. We're going to be going in here to June's numbers, 2025. I'm going to share my screen here with you, and we're going to kind of take a look at this. Let's pull this up now. Boom. There we go. We're starting. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cover Capital Region as a whole. And if you've seen my market reports before, you kind of see I have a little bit of a pattern that I follow. So Capital Region as a whole, this blue line right here, this is our active listings. And we see we bottomed out this year back in March was the lowest time. Since then, we've been on the incline going up. And again, we're seeing that incline again. We're up over 2,000 this month. I think last month we just barely tipped over 2,000 at the end of May, and we've gone up in June. So we're not quite at the 12-month peak that was back over here in September, October in 2024. But we are heading in that right direction. So I like that for both buyers and sellers. I think that's a good thing for us both here to have some competition out there to kind of pull those buyers out, because a lot of people are sitting. You know, people are saying, well, why is it good to have more competition? Right? Because a lot of people are sitting right here because there's not a lot of options for them. So the more options, I think, is going to draw out more buyers to be looking at the houses and stuff like that. So which is what we'd like to see. A balanced market is really what we would like to see. And right now, we're not quite at that balanced market, but I think we're kind of heading in that general direction, which is a good thing for both buyers and sellers, because we'll have plenty of inventory. We'll draw that inventory out. We'll draw those buyers out as well. Looking down here, new listings. New listings stayed pretty flat line right there. I went up 8 at about 1,500. So that's not bad, because it actually is up. And if you look right up here, we're at, for new listings, we are at a 12-month high. If we go back and look over here, back in July of last year, we were at 1,376. So right now we're at 1,502, 1,510. So we're up on those new listings, which is good. So now let's go over here. Listing prices, they're up. So home sellers, this is good, right? This is what you like to see. Those average sales prices going up. We're at 410,000. That is a 12-month high. Right over here, the median sales price is at about 350. So that's up there too. Absorption rate. So the absorption rate, we're at about 2.5 months. 2.5 months of inventory out there. No nothing else. No other properties came out on the market. Boom. There we go. 2.5 months. We'd have no houses left to sell. Now we know, because we looked up here, we've got 1,500 new listings that came out last month. We know there's always a cycle, new listings coming out constantly, which is a good thing to do to keep track of the market. And another thing, if you're in an area where you're looking at and you want to get up-to-date news for when new properties are coming out here, okay, let me know. Again, reach out and get a hold of me. I can get you set up where you're going to get alerts pretty much as soon as that property comes out, before it hits Zillow, before it goes to realty.com. It'll come to your inbox in an email, so you can be one of the first people to check that out. But I got to know what you're looking for. I can even tailor it specifically to your criteria: bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, all that kind of stuff. But I need to know what you're looking for, so you got to get in touch with me, but I can get those out to you. Sold to list ratio. We topped out at just over 100, almost 101, and we came down a little bit, but we're still going to be over that 100% mark, 100.7. So it came down slightly, not too much to really see a big difference right there. Days on the market dropped dramatically. We're in the selling season, folks. My sellers out there, you're looking to sell. We're in the selling season right now. You can see how this has been coming down. It took a big dive, all right, here in the past month into June. Down to just over 3 weeks for that right there. So keep that in mind. No, in the hottest spot, where are all these properties selling? We've got some of these you got to mess around here a little bit because 500 plus, that covers a pretty wide range, anything up from $1 million plus there. So, but we had 190, it's a pretty healthy number right there. But right here, the 200 range, you got to add these two numbers together. And it still isn't going to beat the 300 range. It looks like the 300 range because that's going to be what? About 200 right there. 200 exactly. And this is the 300 range from 3 to 400. We had 210 sales. That's where the price range where most of these houses are selling for, at least for the last month in the month of June. So that is the capital region as a whole. Let's go through here. We're going to hit up a couple different of my favorite locations, as you can see right here. And the first one we're going to check out, Saratoga Springs, June 2025. I'm taking out the pending. I'm taking out the sold listings, and I'm just looking at the new listings. New listings dropped for the second month in a row, down to 65 from 70. But active listings, looks like they increased slightly. They did. They increased by 2. Okay, huge number. So it stayed about the same as far as the number of active listings. But new listings did drop down again slightly in the Saratoga Springs area. Now, let's look over here. Average sales price did jump from $772 up to $861. So a pretty healthy jump for the average sales price that month. Getting back up above. See, our peak was back here back in December. Almost $1,940,000 right there. So we're creeping back up that way. Let's see if that stays there. But the median sales price actually dropped down to $624. So that came down, and that's the second month in a row that the median sales price came down in Saratoga. So, but the average is going up. Months of inventory, we've got almost 4 months of inventory in Saratoga Springs. The list to sold ratio dropped quite a bit. We were 99.8 when the previous month we were at 103.3. So that came down a pretty good chunk, getting just under what they're actively listing for there. And days on the market came down as well to 24, right around that average of 3 weeks, slightly over 3 weeks for properties to sit on the market. And let's see, we can figure this out without even looking. And if you've been following my market reports, you're going to know where this is already because it hasn't changed. But if our average sales price is $861,000, then it just goes to show that where most of the sales going for Saratoga, obviously over this 500 range. We had 142 sales that month at over 500,000. But what's interesting to see is we got 11 sales in that 400,000 range right there. And if you look in 2024, there were 7. So that is up a little bit from previous years. That's up as well. So we're up 156. So we're seeing total here more home sales this year than we saw last year in Saratoga Springs. So those numbers are up a little bit, and the majority of them are over that 500,000 range. So again, if you're in Saratoga, really anywhere, and you want to know what your home is valued at, reach out to me. I can do an evaluation for the property, even give you some ideas of what you can do to increase the value of that property so you're getting the most when you put it on the market. It's free, no obligation. It's just a service that I offer to people. But you got to reach out to me, and I can put those numbers together for you. You can see what your house you could probably get for putting it out on the market. So let's go back here, and we're going to check out our next favorite location, which is going to be Clifton Park. We're moving a little bit south here in Clifton Park. Let's take out the pendings, take out the solds. What do we got here? Ooh, we're on the rise again. So February, it didn't bottom actually, but the 12-week low was in December, but it did spike up. It came down in February. So for 2025, it's been on the way up since February. And we're at 61 new listings this month, which jumped up from 49. So a pretty healthy jump for just that one area, over 10. And we got right here, active listings 45, which also was on the rise too. So that's increased for, it looks like, well, at least the second month, because this one was pretty close, about dead even back there in April, as it was for March and April. Listings. So average price, sales price, did creep up slightly, not enough to really see any significant change, but went up about a little over 1,000 right there. The medium sales price did drop to 485 from 535. So the medium sales price came down on that one. The absorption rate is increasing. So we got about a month and a third, a little over a month and a third on that one. And the list or the sold to list ratio is up to 106.8%. That took a pretty good jump because 104, so about 105. Back in May, and now it's up to about 107. So that jumped up with 2% almost there. Days on the market did come down. And again, wow, they're at less than a week, 6.5 days. Things are really selling in Clifton Park right here, right? So buyers, when you go into Clifton Park, you got to have your ducks in a row. You got to make sure you're pre-qualified. You got to make sure you know the area you want. You got to make sure you really know what you want in that area. So when that property comes up, you're ready to go because it's going to go quick on you if you're not prepared. Because we see that drop coming right out. And home sellers, the other good thing is, those prices did go up. So if you're looking to sell on there, there's buyers in that market and prices are going up. So it could be a pretty good time for a home seller to pop that thing on the market in the Clifton Park area. So let's see what we got here. All right, so we've got 9 in that 500 plus range, followed closely by the 400 range where we had 8, and then we had 2 in the 300 range and 1 down there in the 200 range right there. So that's what we've got for Clifton Park. Moving to the next favorite location, we got Albany. Clicking on that right there. What do we got going on in Albany this month? New listings stayed flatlined at 90. Okay, so that's not bad. It's at least didn't go down, right? Active listings did go up, though, from 80 to 93. So we got the increase there, and we've got the average sales price increased to 325, which was up from 302. So a pretty healthy price jump there in the average sales price. And the median sales price jumped to 319 from 287. So we're seeing some increases in prices, it looks like, in Albany. Inventory staying about the same. What we got here as far as new listings, active listings did jump up. Absorption rate is sitting at about a month and a half, a little under a month and a half, and the sold to list ratio is at 104%, which jumped up from just slightly over 100% on that one. And days on the market, is that going to be? No, it's going to be below our average. So their average, remember, was a little over 3 weeks. We're sitting at just under 2 weeks that they're selling in Albany. So again, things are moving in Albany right there. Prices are going up. Coming down here, where's that price range where they're selling? Really in that 300 range, we're seeing the bulk of them going right there at 21. That 200 range, close behind at 18 because these are at 50,000 increments. This is at 100,000 increment. So we actually have to add these two numbers to compare it. But it is still slightly less than that 300 range. But let's say that 200 to 400 range, where quite a few of these properties price range are selling in the Albany area. Moving next, Ballston Spa, right next to Saratoga. And we saw our little red line. New listings dropped from 38 to 34, but active listings are on the rise from 34 to 38. So listen, they just reversed those numbers right there. But they're going new listings down, active listings up. We got some dips over here, and the average sale price is down to 402, which spiked at 615. So there must have been like a big house or two that really sold back there in May to really spike that up a little bit, because that's the 12-month high. But that's quite a bit higher than where it was sitting at, and it kind of corrected over here in the next month here down to 402. We're seeing the median price range come down too, which shouldn't shock any of us to see that when you see this big of a dip in the average sales price. Which is some of the other things. Now the absorption rate kind of went up. Yeah, a little over 2 months. So we got 2.18 months going on. And the sold to list ratio dropped down to 101.2. So still over that 100% range right there. Days on the market is down. They're at 7.3. So again, moving fast in Ballston Spa, just over really a week. It's at a week, we'll say. Now, let's see where that biggest price range is, where movers and shakers are there. So we've got that 400 range right there. We had 6 selling that range, 3 in the 300, 2 at the 500 plus. And then it looks like we had, maybe plot of land or something like that, or a rehab house sold in the 60,000s range right there. So that's Ballston Spa. Queensbury. What do we got for Queensbury? All right. Active listings on the rise, up to 39. New listings did drop from 40 down to 32, so a little bit of a dip there on that one, but the active listings going up. Average sales price came down over here. We're at 450. Again, we have 590. Must have had a big, again, same thing. Looks like we had a big sale over here that really caused that to spike up back there. And now over here is kind of correcting, and we got 400, 405 to 392, what we see in the median sales price. Absorption rate is sitting right at 1.87, so under 2 months when that sold to list ratio increased to 100.9. It was at 100, right, pretty much 100%. So it did go up a little bit as far as that sold to list ratio. Days on the market are sitting at 13, so right about 2 weeks. So another area where it's below the average. In the hot spot right over here, wow, it looks like we got a tie. But I mean, the 500 is, like I said, a wide range. So we're gonna say 500 plus has got the 7, but really that 3 to 500 right there, both had 7 and then 100,000 increments. So that's where it seemed like most of it goes. But remember, we got to add these numbers together. This 50,000 increments. They had 8 in that 200,000 range. So it's pretty even, really. In that 2, 3, 400 range is all pretty even right there in Queensbury. And we're going to wrap this up here. We're going to Glens Falls. Glens Falls is a small little area, but I love Glens Falls. I kind of feel like it was how Saratoga was maybe 20, 30 years ago. They're doing a lot of revitalization in the downtown area and the surrounding areas and stuff like that. So things are really kind of on the up and up in that area. And as we're looking, new listings, 17. New listings did drop down to 11. Active listings down to 5. Like I said, we're not talking about a big area here, but it is an area I like to look at because I do feel like it's an area that's on the rise. And we got the average sales price was $277, and it jumped up to $319. Of course, we're seeing a jump here in the median as well, up to $319, $320. Absorption rate came down to less than a half. Wow, 0.38. So not a lot of inventory over there right now. We're looking at 103 on that sold to list ratio. So they're getting more than what they're listing for. And days on the market has dropped down to 15. So just over 2 weeks. So in a lot of the areas, I mean, we had the average for the area was about 3 weeks. So over about the areas I've kind of highlighting here are a week to 2 weeks, most of them. There it is. But the hot spot over here, that 200 range has 8. That 300 range, that 3 to 400 had 7. So they're both pretty close there. Slightly going to that 200 range right there. But great area, up and coming Glens Falls. That's why I like to cover it. A lot of good stuff going on there. Okay, so there we go. That's our market report right there. And remember, if there's an area that I didn't cover, you'd like to see the numbers, reach out and get a hold of me. My contact's right down there. I'll get that information out to you. Call or text me. That's the fastest way. You can email me. That's fine too. I'll get to it. But usually calling or texting me is the best way to get a hold of me right there. So, and if you get, make sure you subscribe to the channel because I got all kinds of videos coming out covering the capital region, Saratoga Springs, everything like that. We could do more. We do market reports. I do an investment report for my investors out there. I also do a lot with just like neighborhoods, covering neighborhoods and local amenities and things like that. So subscribe to the channel, like it. We'll see you guys. If you got questions, reach out and get a hold of me, and we'll catch you guys on the next video.